I would open my computer and immediately start to have a panic attack because I was just like, no matter how good I make this book, everyone's going to hate it. When
Mhm.
you reach a certain level, people stop seeing you as a human being. The bigger you get, the meaner people are.
Hi, I'm KJ Aiello, and welcome to Season 2 of The Book Hook, where each episode we dive into writing and storytelling that challenges the status quo and examines how authors use their work to resist, to question, and to reimagine our world. No surface level chat, just thoughtful conversations for critical readers like you. And for the first episode of this exciting season, I'm chatting with Danielle L. Jensen, best-selling author of The Bridge Kingdom, The Saga of the Unfated, and many, many more books. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's dive into today's conversation. How are you?
I'm good. It's cold,
Good.
but I'm
I
good.
know. You're out in Alberta, correct?
Yeah, Calgary.
Yeah, so I heard it's cold here. I'm in Toronto. And I heard it's even colder in Calgary right now.
You guys get the humid cold though. It's dry
Yeah.
here. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we get it gets temperature very cold, but it's not humid, so it doesn't like cut into your bones the same way.
Yeah. Are you a winter person or
I've lived here all my life, so it's just
it
you're
is what
used
it
to it.
is? Yeah.
But no, I'm not like an outdoor sport person for winter. I have zero interest in hitting the
Yeah.
slopes when it's this cold. So
Are you the kind of I find writers like they either winter is sort of their what's the word for it? Their creative inspiration season. They're sort of, like composting season, or for some writers it's their writing season. They hunker
I
down,
don't
cozy.
have enough. Every season has to be
Has to be writing.
it has to be peak season for me. So I'm too
Deadlines.
busy for it. Yeah, deadline cares not for when I might feel inspired. So I'd say summer is actually harder just because I have kids and they're
Mm,
home. So
yeah,
currently they are at school, so it's
perfect.
easier to focus. But no, I don't care. My muse
Yeah.
doesn't seem to really care. Or else I've just like beaten her into submission and she works whenever I tell her to do it.
I feel like it's
Work.
working though. You've got a lot of work out there. I mean, I've got like a bunch of them here and forever for whomever is listening or watching, Danielle Jensen, fellow Canadian author, one of my favorite authors. Also, I feel like you're one of the leading authors in the fantasy romance genre now. Whenever you hear fantasy romance, your name always
Or I've
comes
just
up.
been around for forever, so everybody
I
it's
mean,
just she's been around for 84
she,
years, so we know who she is.
it's been 84 years. um, but I think I would say your most popular series are the Bridge Kingdom series and the Saga of the Unfated series. I have the first one as well here, but I got the Fairy Loot edition. I think it's Fairy Loot, and it's gorgeous, so it's on my
It
shelf.
is beautiful, yeah.
It's so beautiful. Your main characters, I want to start there in these two series. Lara and Freya, they get angry. They get very angry.
They do.
Justifiably. They do. So I'm
Yes.
wondering if we could dive into a little bit of where that anger comes from, why you chose to write characters like, Lara and Freya into your work. 'Cause it seems to be a theme of yours. I like it. I want to know more though.
The reasoning is very different. I mean,
Mhm.
Lara, I conceived in 2015, 2016, started actively writing her in 2017. I was like a very different time. So,
Mhm.
with Lara, and it seems so weird to say now because the market has changed so much since then, but there wasn't a lot of female heroines in fantasy who were morally gray. And, anyone who is new to the genre is going to be like, what? I mean, like, there's a million
Yeah.
morally gray female heroines now, but it was not acceptable to make really like people were very judgmental about women who would do things that were so acceptable for male characters and who would do things that were good and do things that were bad, who weren't
Mhm.
always nice, who got angry. So I was very much wanting to write a character who broke the mold, and she
Mhm.
was at the time this very different. I mean, you had a little bit of that starting to come out of the YA space, but it wasn't very common. And
Mhm.
so, I was just writing the type of female character that I wanted, that I wasn't finding in, great abundance in the
Yeah.
market. And so, that's how Lara was born. Freya came out of the pandemic when I
Okay.
was stuck at home with two kids in lockdown
Yeah.
and, killing myself trying to hold everything together for my family, extended family, um, tons of anger and negativity out in the market just because people had big feelings and were stuck at home and just sort of having to eat them. You see that, like, for Freya, it's very much, it was a lot more out of, her being in a situation where she has such obligation and there's not really any space for her to be what she wants to be, and
Yeah.
trying to kind of carve her space out whilst taking care of the people who are, rely upon her. And
Mhm.
so, her anger, and then her anger becomes very born out of the betrayal of all these people who she's given everything for. So they're profoundly different female characters, and so even though they have some similar attributes, I don't find them alike at all. So,
Yeah. There's something
and it's because they came from different places.
which is amazing as writers, where our characters and where like our themes come from, different aspects that we draw from our own life or things we see around us.
Mhm.
And even for a lot of fantasy writers, there's an escape, but also there's a tunneling into something that is deeper.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for me, people always say, what's the message in your books? I don't
Mhm.
have a message. It's typically me exploring something that interests me or something
Mhm.
that I'm feeling or something that I'm seeing. So I consider my books explorations of issues and things that I see
Mhm.
rather than me making judgments upon certain issues. I want to look at how these things are to live
Right.
within these characters rather than to tell the reader, you should do this, you should be this way, this is how you should feel. That is the way that I approach it. But I don't think I think everybody's different.
When you were coming up with like when these ideas for the Bridge Kingdom and for the Saga the Unfated, and knowing that the Bridge Kingdom came out a long time ago, 10 years ago now, congratulations on your 10-year anniversary of the
Oh,
Bridge
Bridge
Kingdom.
Kingdom was 2018 that it
Okay.
published. Yes,
Okay.
but
So
I'd say it's
almost.
coming up on 10 years when I started thinking about it.
What was like, how did you come into these different worlds? Where does it start for you? Does it start with a character? Does it start with a theme? Does it start with a world?
It depends. It's not the same for everything. Usually it's an inciting event.
Mm-hmm.
So I know, like, the sort of high level concept that's going to kick off the plot. With Bridge Kingdom, it was that I knew I wanted to have this nation that somehow controlled trade, and that everybody was sort of kind of resented them for that and wanted to have that power, and that Lara would be sent in to as a bride under the guise
Mm-hmm.
of peace in order to undermine that. And that was the concept that sort of sat in my brain for a long time, and I built the world to facilitate that plot.
That's amazing. And it's quite a
So
textured world with lots of characters branching off of it now too.
yeah, I mean, I like to think so. I think that I'm always trying to write worlds that feel deep, but not like you're being bogged down. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to spend tons of chapters with exposition explaining the long and storied history of this country and that, like the way that you'll see in, a lot more of the traditional epic fantasy. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people really enjoy that. But I find my readership wants as much depth as I can give them without really slowing things down.
The thing that I noticed with both the Bridge Kingdom and the Saga of the Unfated is that these two main female characters, who are vastly different, are both victims of a patriarchy.
In it with Saga of the Unfated, yes.
Yeah,
With Bridge Kingdom, less so, I would say.
because Lara is more
Uh,
of a selfish character too.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you like, Freya is not selfish at all, to lots of times to her own detriment, thinks about herself a lot. which has always been so okay for male characters. But women, we're always supposed to just give.
Yeah.
We're only supposed to think of others. We're never supposed to think of ourselves. And so, when you have been raised on the spectrum of, fantasy fiction where you always kind of have female characters just being so supportive and
Mhm.
really the only time they're selfish is if they're the villain. It's not realistic. That's not
Mhm.
the way that our brains are wired. We actually do think about ourselves all the time.
Was that the fantasy that you grew up on when you were
Yeah,
reading?
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm old enough that it was almost all male authored. It was all like the classics. And I mean, I loved it, but
Yeah.
you can't help but read Lord of the Rings and be like, this is very male. Are there female hobbits?
There, I mean, do they exist? We don't know. Do
No, I
female
mean, we
dwarves
have
exist?
Rosie, who, Sam likes, but
Yeah.
like the female characters are just, it's very sparse and they're not, I mean, it's not that they don't exist, but they don't exist with the same sort of presence. And they do sort of have always sort of served as a motivating factor for the male characters. So you read that sort of stuff and there just wasn't all that much where you saw female characters who felt like I wanted them to feel.
And that
And
was
so,
frustrating for you.
yeah, I mean, I think whether people realize it or not, I think it was frustrating for everyone. And I think even for men to always be reading about women who are just sort of like not that useful. I mean, they have to, I suppose, like recognize that that is not the way that life works. So, it was it beneficial for us to change for women? Yes, but I think
Mhm.
absolutely beneficial for men too. So, because you see men now writing female characters who are a lot more grounded and realistic
Mhm.
and empowered.
How has been the readership response to these characters, particularly Lara? Lara is a unique one.
People love her or hate her, which is fine. I would rather people have strong feelings about a character than just forget about them. Because you can write somebody who's just so generically appealing that everybody's like, oh yeah, they're fine, but then they forget
Yeah.
about them, right?
Yeah.
So people who love her. I would say that a lot of people love her because she's been very successful. But there are people who really rail against all the attributes that I purposefully gave her, and they don't
Really?
find it. They're like, she's not likable. She's selfish. She makes decisions based on, protecting herself. She had a hard, she was raised in effectively a cult situation and she was indoctrinated. She was, a fanatic. And, they were annoyed that she, within like the first breaths of seeing that maybe the reality was different, didn't just be like, oh, I was raised incorrectly, I'm going to be, totally change my views.
Yeah.
They want her to get over it so that the romance can proceed, but
Hmm.
that's not how that works. And
Hmm.
so there's people who just will resent everything about her because they feel that she is the obstacle to the happily ever after. But that's kind of the point, right?
Hmm.
And so I always feel that the people who don't like her and who don't like that type of plotting just really should never read any of my books ever, because it's one of my favorite things to do. I like characters to get in their own way.
Yeah.
And because as people, we are always getting in our own way. I would say that we're almost always like one of our biggest obstacles to
Hmm.
overcome. And
Hmm.
so I like to do that. If you hate reading it, don't read my books. Just
I know.
don't.
I
So
recommend them. I
thank
I
you.
say
I know
go
I'm
for
like
it.
so good at not selling my books. I'm like, if you don't like this, don't read my books.
Your
And if you
publisher
don't like
must
this,
love
don't
you.
read my books. Yeah. I'm like always like the negativity marketer.
No way. It's the honesty marketer. And I think that the readers they'll pick up on it anyways when they start reading, or even the
Mhm.
reviews. You're very big on book talk and bookstagram as well. You have a hashtag and your books are everywhere, particularly your latest one that just came out, A Curse Carved in Bone, which is the second and the final in the duology of the saga, The Unfated. Um,
Mhm.
what is it like being, big on social media, being a prominent author in social media?
I mean, it's good from the standpoint of selling books and
Mm-hmm.
exposure, I avoid it at all
Mm-hmm.
costs. Social media is such a profoundly soul-sucking place. And when
Mm-hmm.
you reach a certain level, people stop seeing you as a human being. The bigger you get, the meaner people are. Because, if you do a 10-minute video telling the world why you absolutely hate Freya and no one has read that book, no one's going to watch your video. But,
Mm-hmm.
you write a 10-minute video about how you hate a popular character, all the people who want also didn't like her like that validation of seeing somebody else who didn't like her. And so those videos get such huge traction. I think that we inherently as people want the thing that we like to be popular
Mm-hmm.
because then it validates our taste. And if people really like something that you hate, it feels like an attack on your taste. And so
Mm-hmm.
people want to go on the offensive and they want to prove everybody wrong and prove why they're right because they hate it. But ultimately, art is subjective and we all like different things and we all gravitate to different types of characters and different types of plots. So you liking or hating something, you're not the god of reviewing and saying whether something's good or bad. It's just your opinion, and
Mm-hmm.
we need to let go. And this is just like pie in the sky because of course it's never going to happen, but people need to let go of this need to force everybody to have the same opinion as them because that's not how we are.
It's a personal
So
validation
yeah.
for people.
And so being on social media, you just see the megaphone effect of that
Yeah.
type of behavior where you have people who are like, I hated this, so you should all hate it too.
Mm-hmm.
And because it can just spread so virally,
Mm-hmm.
and those videos take off so much that when you look at yourself on social media, you get served a profound amount of negativity. The tags, I don't really have a problem. I know some authors seem to have like really shitty readers or something that tag them in bad reviews all the time. I don't get that much of that. I get tagged all the time. People, I mean, sometimes I'll get tagged in, some middling reviews, but I very
Mm-hmm.
rarely gets tagged in scathing reviews. And so, the tags and stuff like that, I tend to see a bit of a bias towards positivity. But if I am just scrolling on TikTok, I would
Mm-hmm.
never in a million years look at my own hashtag. I have it blocked. I have
You're
it blocked to
smart.
try and protect my, yeah,
Oh,
because
wow.
it's just too it's not productive to me.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's real. I think that you can
Yeah.
get just this real false sense of negativity and start to feel like everybody hates you, and that
Mm-hmm.
nobody's going to function well in that type of environment. You're better to take feedback in person, take feedback from
Mm-hmm.
the people who are actually engaging with you in a really real and generally positive way. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's a good place for creation.
So I was thinking too, as you were mentioning that, I attended I think it was in April, March or April in Toronto here. It was a panel of you, Imani Ariu, and Laura
Laura Samanson.
Samanson. Yeah. And what a community that the three of you brought together. Just it was positive, it was exciting. Everyone was so excited to see you guys. And I thought, this is where the book readership, the community is also going in the fantasy romance space. I'm wondering what that was like for you, and when you attend events like that and you see your readers, and they have stacks of books, and what is that like for you?
I mean, that is, I think, the most enjoyable part
Mm-hmm.
about being published is when you actually go to events and you see the real people. They're not just an icon on Instagram
Mm-hmm.
commenting on your post. They're real living, breathing people. And, watching them all talk to each other, even though they're total strangers, they're all engaging on a hobby, really, that they all
Mm-hmm.
share. And so, it's It's kind of like going to a sporting event and you have tons of fans of the team and you are all as one. So
Hmm.
it's the same sort of cheering for the same team type feel, I think. And I really love it. And I try to
Hmm.
do as many events as I can, just because that is such a rewarding experience. So much more rewarding than having tens of millions of views on TikTok. So
Yeah.
much more rewarding.
I do know what the fantasy romance authors have brought to a lot of young women now too. This like going back to characters like Lara being messy, making mistakes, also, having the romance too being very sex positive. I'm wondering what that feels like knowing, I don't know if you actually know this, but being one of the prominent authors who are also building those communities and not something you intentionally set out to do, but knowing that these communities are being built around the books that you have created. What is that like?
It's good. It can be very good. My readers, I find to be fairly reasonable. You can get in situations, and other authors are in this situation, where the fandom becomes a very toxic force.
Okay.
And they almost have a level of resentment towards the original creator whenever they do something that is not what the fandom wants. And
Okay.
so I would, I hope to never get to that situation, but I don't think that that is something that anybody can control. So I like it, and I like it on when it's positive,
Hmm.
but occasionally you see this very groupthink negativity
Hmm.
towards decisions that I'll make or characters that I'll focus on. That can be hard to deal with in a way because they are your fans who are coming at you about something specific, not just random people who, are just trolls on the internet. They're people that
Yeah.
have been buying and supporting your works. So it is, it can be glorious and it can be very punishing. And it's
Hmm.
sort of just, it's like the fan experience times a million because it becomes so amplified with so many people focused on a specific topic. And so it's just emotionally a lot. And so that
Mm.
can be good, but it can also be intimidating
Does that,
and stressful.
yeah, I'm wondering, does that affect you going into your writing? Do you feel pressure when you're working on a project?
It has in the past.
Hmm.
I've spoken about it many, many, many times. The profound negativity that I felt when I announced that, I was not going to be writing about Lara and Aaron anymore as main
Hmm.
characters. I was expanding the world with another romance and other characters.
Hmm.
And to this day, I still get, that's years ago that Karis and Zara, that Inadequate Era was published, but I still like weekly, daily get comments from people who are so mad about me daring to write about other characters. And that negativity doesn't come with like new worlds. That seems to be okay. It's about writing about other people within the same world. That I Inadequate Era was, I love that book and I love how it turned
Hmm.
out, but writing it was such a miserable experience because I
Mm.
felt like the whole concept of it was so hated
Oh.
by the readership. And I would open my computer and immediately start to have panic attack because I was just like, no matter how good I make this book, everyone's going to hate it
Oh my.
because it's not them. And so, that was really, really hard. And I specifically wrote Saga of the Unfated not to set up any other characters because I said, I will never, ever do this to myself again.
Wow.
So people are like, "I will you write more in Saga of the Unfated?" And now I've like had years to kind of come to terms with the negativity, even though it's still ongoing. Do I regret that? I mean, you can always go into a world
Hmm.
and write about new characters and create new ones, It's not like I can't go back, but still, even now, the thought of opening that world again and trying to get people to engage with some new pairing. I don't want to ever go back to my DMs and emails being full of people telling me that they hate me for writing about someone else. Just
They
not it.
DM you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
People can be so mean,
Folks, don't
so
do that.
mean.
Just don't do that.
No. And
It's
so, yeah, I like the
hard.
feedback can be when it's, so big like that. I mean, if people tell me they don't like some small thing, I just don't
Mm,
care.
yeah.
But when you have this massive wave of feedback of, we hate you for this, don't, why would you ever set yourself up for that again?
And it's a personal attack on you.
Yeah.
That's how do you handle that? How do you manage your mental health and going through, day to
Well,
day
for a
and
long time, I didn't. Now I just, my assistant goes through social media and makes sure that I
yeah.
don't see anything that's super shitty. But it's hard. Like, I've had people tell me to my face at events that they will not read the rest of the Bridge Kingdom series because it's not about Lara and Arn and they just don't care about the other characters.
What? The
So,
audacity. Okay,
yeah.
folks, you
Yeah.
cannot be doing this. We are
Well,
real people.
I mean, the thing is that the people who are listening to this, who are like, "Oh my God, that's so horrible," they would never do it. There's
Mm,
people out there that just they're disappointed, and they want to punish you for disappointing them. There is people where that is just who they are, and you can say don't do that till you're blue in the face, but that is the fundamental way that an individual is, where they
mhm.
feel like I am hardly human. I am just merely existing on this planet to provide content. And I did not do the thing that they want. They feel that it is their right and obligation to tell me that they don't like it. And that's not most people. And I'm sure that most people are like listening to this, like just unable to even comprehend that. But there's probably a couple of them that are just like, we do have that right. And like they're
Oh
there. And
my.
so it is interesting. I think I've sat with at these events with my editor sitting right next to me flapping books, and her just like pausing and looking up, and like, and then afterwards being like, I'm like, yeah, they're there, the weirdos that just feel like they need to tell me how much they hate this one thing. And yeah, to your face. So yeah. But
This
that makes it sound like it's such like a common thing, like that, every other person online is doing that. Most people, like 99% of people who come up to me in line are just beautiful, wonderful readers. And that's why I love doing it. But yeah, there's certainly some people out there that need to touch more grass than they're touching on a daily basis.
I love that. The honesty of Danielle L. Jensen is unparalleled. I'm
Go outside
absolutely
and roll around in some grass if that's
like,
what you're doing.
go live your life. If you don't like it, go
Yeah.
live your life, okay?
Yeah. Read something else. It's fine.
I, I
Return my book if you don't like it. It's fine.
yeah,
I
just
give you permission.
yeah, do not with the personal attacks. That's just
Yeah.
blows my mind. Although I'm not surprised because I've heard this from quite a few authors I've spoken to,
Mhm.
particularly authors who are very prominent, best-selling authors. They've yeah, you become less human in some people's eyes, and they do think that they have this, they have the right to come at you. They have the right to have their opinion, whatever that is, to be heard by you. Particularly, I'm wondering. This might be completely out there, and maybe it's my own bias, but I wonder if you were a man, would they do that?
They are way worse to women. They
Yeah.
100%. Like you don't see, you see people, and granted, I will say that my social media experience tends to be like heavily weighted to readership who are reading female authors,
Mm,
but you see the things that readers are willing to just drag female authors for
yeah.
that they never do to men. You don't, your signature that you get a signed copy and the signature is like a little
Wonky.
wonky because I hate to break it to you, when you sign your name 40,000 times, some of them are not like perfect. And
Mm-hmm.
so, you'll get people who be like, your D looked a little weird in this one. But they never, and or they'll be like the signature has changed because, when an author starts out, you're only signing like a few books here and there. So you
Yeah.
can do like your beautiful like long signature and this like big message, but you can't when you start getting into volume, then it just like you're going to give yourself carpal tunnel and arthritis and a host of
Yeah.
problems. But I mean, I've gotten signed editions from male authors that are just like a squiggle.
Yeah. They, you
And I'm
know,
like,
that
I
just,
know that's not what your signature looks like.
yeah.
And no one ever drags them. you just see the standard that female authors are held to by women. The slightest misstep is worthy of such a takedown, and it translates into how people react to characters as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at negative reviews of fantasy romance
Mm-hmm.
books, the
Mm-hmm.
negativity is almost, I would say it's like 95% towards the female characters. You know,
Because they're
the hot,
Laras.
sexy man never does anything wrong, or he might do like a little thing wrong, but it's okay because he's so sexy and I want
Yeah,
him.
and Bjorn is perfect, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, so perfect.
So perfect.
Liar that he is.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, and then you just see like paragraphs after paragraphs of, oh, you know, she's too much of a bitch. She gets walked all over, you know, she's stupid. She's a Mary Sue. Like, just, there's no, it's just dragging them. And
Mm.
I don't know why it is, but it's like women are so much meaner to women than men are. I don't know why. I mean, in fiction, like they're just, you don't, I see reviews from men and they'll be like, I thought this was stupid and that, you know, it wasn't my type of book, but they won't be like going on a big rant about Freya or anything. Like they just don't do that. It seems to be very like women on women. And I've seen a lot of readers say that because they want to inhabit the world and sort of
Mm.
ride the female character as almost like an avatar, that when she
Mm.
doesn't do what they want her to do,
Yeah.
it's disrupting their fantasy. And so that seems to have been a very, this is new. I would say like the past 5 years that I've really
Mm-hmm.
seen this rise of people who really want to self-insert.
Mm-hmm.
And so they want the female character to be this sort of skin they can wear. They want her to look a certain way. They want her to act a certain way. They want her to make decisions that will get her to the point that they want to be and experience. I hate that so much because the beautiful thing about writing and fiction is that you are creating a person with
Mm-hmm.
totally different experiences that the reader can get to know and understand why certain people would do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it is how you get empathy and how you grow your understanding of, you know, a diverse spectrum of experiences. If you go into every book erasing the FMC so that you can just go bang the hot female, like you might as well just get yourself a VR set while you're at it, you know, because you're only thinking about yourself. It's
Mm-hmm.
the whole beauty of learning about other people's experiences and going on these journeys with these characters gets erased because you are so resentful of them not doing the thing that you want them to do. People are going to do what they're going to do. If they want to read a certain way and they want to self-insert, me, I can talk until I'm blue in the face. It doesn't matter. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, this is why you see people who are, you know, refusing to read books that are outside of an ethnic experience that they want to inhabit. They don't
Mm-hmm.
want to be in the body of a different race. They don't want to be in a culture that they don't know how to pronounce the words. They want this limited, blonde, blue eyed Barbie who
Mm-hmm.
is going to go on adventures, always make the right choices that they want to make and get the guy and be the hero and be the one that everybody loves. And it becomes so reductive to this like one tight generic experience that I don't think it, like I think it just destroys the whole purpose of reading.
I had a million questions, Danielle, and I was listening the entire time, not even thinking about
Sorry.
my. No, it was actually really, when you catch me like, I don't know what my next question is, means I was listening so intently and thinking about it. This is a really honest take. And I appreciate that as, you know, a writer myself. Not, I mean, I don't get DMs like you do. I've had a couple of emails and a couple of Goodreads. First of all, do you go on Goodreads at all? Like, do
It's
not go
blocked.
there.
I have
It's
like one of those app
awful.
blockers. No,
It's
I
awful.
cannot even go to Goodreads if I want to.
Ooh, it is. Yeah. I did want to talk about a little bit my elegant segue here. Even under all that pressure, you've had a lot published and you keep going. You have what, two more two coming out, I think, in 2026. Two new series.
I have the last Bridge Kingdom book is out in
Right.
April, so the Tempest
Right.
Blade.
Yeah.
That's the big finale with all 6 points of view for people
Everyone's
who
going to get
love.
so
Everybody
angry.
is there. No, they'll love it. Like everybody, no, people so far have been very positive because yeah, you'll
Excellent.
see everyone will be there. And then I have my the first book in my new duology coming out in November, hopefully. I'm just very, very, very tight deadline here to get it off to the copy editor. So it is planned for November. So
That's
that
amazing.
is a post-apocalyptic fantasy.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Post-apocalyptic fantasy. And you haven't really forayed into that sort of, tropes, the post-apocalyptic world yet. Where did that come from? Was it
Oh, I
pandemic?
have. They're just none of them were ever published.
Oh, okay.
It's one of my favorite. I love post-apocalyptic and dystopian books so much.
Really?
It is my favorite genre.
This
But it
doesn't
comes and
surprise
goes.
me.
It comes and goes.
Yeah.
As far as whether people are interested in it, it tends to really ride. Like if we think our world is like about to implode, people tend to really gravitate towards. Yeah. So obviously, 2025 has brought some interesting stuff.
Worries.
And
Yeah.
so, you see you'll see sort of a tide that comes after of people trying to come to terms with what they're seeing.
Yeah.
And I guess the catharsis of that being survivable.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you write it in fiction, you tend to like have a at least sort of happy ending where there's resolution and the characters are, the big evil is usually defeated, right?
You have control
Whereas,
over what happens.
yeah, you have control. So it becomes it's just like in recessions, depression types eras stuff, you see a lot of rise in billionaire, we used to be millionaire, now it's billionaire romances because there's so much financial insecurity and people just sort of wanting to fantasize about being swept away and never having to worry about money. So, you do see trends that follow, even when you are in this totally fantastical realm, you see the trends follow the fears or focuses of the market that you're writing for. And so I love post-apocalyptic and dystopian, and I always have, but I didn't quite catch none of my books that I wrote when the Hunger Games was on its big tear didn't get to the finish line. I wasn't good enough then. So I moved to other interests, but it's always been there, the need to write it, and here we are. In the moment is now.
Is now your moment. People need it now. I'm really excited about that one.
Heavily inspired by Mad Max and Snowpiercer, two big post-apocalyptic dystopian juggernauts. So
yeah. And it's a lot different than what we've seen so far from you.
It is, but I don't think that you're gonna be like reading it and saying this is totally. It doesn't even feel like her. It's still gonna feel like me. It's just enough different to be fresh and to explore those types of tropes and scenarios, and social and political commentary, of course, is so important to those genres. That is something where you do have to really, if you don't dive into some degree of criticism or explore certain issues, that's where you tend to see people who are like, this is, weak world building. It's just vibes. So I won't do that. Okay. I didn't do that. It's already written. And it's like a solid 200,000 word novel. So
you really did. You did.
I really did do it.
You went all in. Yeah. Well, I'm excited for that one. I mean, I'm always excited for new work that you come out with. Congratulations on all of your success. I know there's been, hiccups with, people. Guys, don't send her DMs. Just don't. Like, I'm just going to say,
just send me happy ones.
Just happy ones. Happy emails. That's it.
DM your best friend. If I do something that you hate, DM your best friend and just shit all over me to her.
Yeah, get a box of wine.
Support that.
Yeah.
Talk behind my back. That's what I want you to do.
Not
slander me behind my back. That's what I want you to do. Or on Goodreads, because I never go there and I won't see it.
Thank you so much, Danielle. Danielle L. Jensen, everybody. This has been such an honor. Congratulations again on all of your successes. And I'm
Thank you.
very excited for this post-apocalyptic book. Very
I
excited.
am excited too. It's called Defy the Dusk. I suppose I
Defy
should
the
say.
Dusk. Yes.
Defy the
Okay.
Dusk.
And November
So
of next year is the tentative.
that is the plan. So
Okay.
they're just, I think you'll start hearing me talking about it in a more meaningful way in the new year. So
Amazing.
stay tuned. Follow
Stay
me
tuned.
on social media.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And subscribe, or you can subscribe to my newsletter if you are a person who
Yeah.
likes to have their inbox.
Newsletters are the best.
Yeah,
Do
they
that.
are.
Do that. This episode of The Book Hook was hosted and produced by KJ Aiello with video, content, and social media production by Jackie Johnstone. Don't forget to drop a like, a comment, share, and follow. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at handlethebookhook_podcast and sign up for our newsletter on Substack.